Hey everybody, welcome to Gunny Sharp Talk. Gunny here. I want to talk to you guys today a little bit about blade steel that I intended to do a video on over a year ago. And with my health stuff, and I've kind of explained what was going on. There's a lot of videos I had lined up that I didn't end up doing. But then I thought about it, since just had another sprint run of 15V come out. I wanted to talk about this PM2 and 15V with the triple B Sean Houston's heat treat on it. Sean, you did an amazing job, man. Really solid job. So I got to where, yes, I have some expectations in the back of my mind, but I try not to think about those when I'm testing the steel. This one I did some cut tests and things like that in the beginning. And like I told you guys in the past, I don't do cut to failure anymore. How long does it last before I strop it back? And edge retention wise, it outperformed my PM2s in K390 and 10V. It was so close, close enough to Maximet that I would take the toughness of this over the Maximet. Don't get me wrong, I love Maximet and I love the edge retention, and I don't tend to chip that steel any more than I do other steels. And part of that is because of sharpening technique and cutting technique. I don't put a lot of lateral pressure on it. A lot of people get chippy with those types of steels because of lateral pressure when sharpening, especially when you get into guided systems and they're pushing down real hard and they get these microscopic fractures in there, like I've told you guys before, and then they go into cutting stuff and it chips out. But with this, something I've noticed is not to say they're not out there, I haven't seen one come across the internet as broken. I'm sure they're out there because there's some of us will find a way to break anything. I don't try to break them. I use them like I would normally use a knife, because going out of my way to break it doesn't tell me anything for myself. We have enough people that do that and torture test them and show you what you can expect if you're abusing your knife. I use it as a cutting tool, especially with this geometry, and I haven't had any chips or really any deformation of the edge. I've cut, like I always do, copper wire, some hose, nylon braided hose, zip ties, rope, packages, cardboard, just whatever I'm gonna cut in my day-to-day tasks. And I've carried this quite a bit. It's as my primary knife. I usually carry two knives, and I carry one that I don't use very often, keep it extremely sharp. So if I'm using one that starts to get dull, I have a really sharp knife if I need a really sharp knife. I don't ever let them get too dull before I strop them back. But if I'm out and I'm working or doing something and it starts to dull up on me and I need, a really clean cut, then I have another knife. But this has been the primary carry in my pocket quite a bit since I got it. I didn't get it when the PM2s first came out because I had a Mannix 2 in 15V that I carried for a while, and I ended up trading it for this. So I don't remember exactly when I made the trade or how long it's been. But I know it's been over a year. It's been probably a year and a half, maybe longer. Probably longer than that. Anyways, I'm still impressed with the steel. I still carry this quite a bit. Makes it into my pocket over my other tool steels. Another tool steel I like is Rex 45. I know there's others out there with better edge retention. I just like the way the edge Rex 45 takes. And I like the edge this takes. I like to be able to put a mirror polish on it and still have aggressive bite. And with some steels, I can do that with pretty much any steel, but some steels accept that type of edge better than others. So it's still, even with the mirror polish on it, it's still saw cut, pull cut, push cut, does all that really well. And as the edge wears, if anything, I feel like it gets a little more aggressive. But you can I've put, 400 grit edge on it, and it performed fabulous. It's just a really good steel. As far as corrosion resistant, I can't say a whole lot. I wouldn't expect it to be very corrosion resistant, but I am testing a coating. The coating doesn't change the look or feel or anything of the steel, but I've been testing that on a few different steels. So I can't really speak to the corrosion resistance versus this steel versus another steel. Sorry about that, but before I got into that, I put this coating on here, and the coating's been performing pretty well. I'll have some future videos out on that. I'd like to get a hold of Sean and possibly get some of this coating to him, let him check it out too, see what he thinks. But this, like I said, I can't say enough about this. I would say right now it's my favorite tool steel. It makes it into my pocket more than probably any other PM2 I have right now. So with the sprint run of the latest Spyderco model with the 15V, if you guys can get a hold of it, I would highly suggest it. It's one of those I feel like everybody would want in their collection. Anybody that's into steels, different steels and stuff like that, I would consider this a must-have. Before this, the tool steel I carried the most was probably a toss between the Rex 45 and K390. But because of this, a situation come up with some medical stuff, and I sold off a few knives and sold the K390. And I used to carry that all the time, but I just found that I wasn't carrying it very much because of this 15V. It's kind of like that with the Maximate. The edge retention before I strap it back so close that I would rather have the toughness. And I would say this is tougher than I even expected, given the fact that I haven't seen any that have been broken. There's plenty of Maximate and 10V and S110V and other steels like that don't take lateral pressure very well, that you see broken quite a bit. And I don't blame the steel for that. It's not made to take that type of pressure. But with this sharpening that I've gotten in with the 15V, I haven't had any with real edge damage, not any chips or major rolls or anything like that. I've got a couple with what I would call a flat spot, and that's kind of an apex roll, but not really an edge roll. It's hard to explain on what I call a flat spot, but it's just basically it's a dull spot that if you look in the light like that, shine a light straight down on it, you see a little glint. I've had a few like that, but I haven't had any with any major damage. And whatever type of edge you put on it, it performs really well. I have to say, I ended up being a lot more impressed with this than I thought I would be. I don't get overly impressed anymore. Most of the time, the steels that I'm testing, I try to put any expectations in the back of my mind and just go with the evidence, because there's been plenty of times I've proven myself wrong when I'm testing from what I thought would happen, what I thought I was going to get, and what I actually got. And this exceeded those expectations I had in the back of my mind. So I really like this and really enjoy it as a tool steel. So hopefully one of these days we can get this as almost a standard like they did with the Maximent. I'd rather see the Maximent as sprint runs and this is a standard, personally. But anyways, I know it's been out long enough and a lot of you guys have it and you've used it. If you would, drop some comments, tell me what you guys think of the steel, what your experiences with it. You know, I've carried this in my pocket quite a bit. I've had sweat all over it, but again, I've got a clear rub-on coating on this. That if that coating keeps performing the way it's performed, and hopefully that changes things in the future for a lot of us. But anyways, again, hey Sean, buddy, you did an amazing job. Sorry the video came so late. I know I told you I'd get one out when we talked a while back, but like I said, I had a lot of stuff going on and just wasn't doing videos for a long time. But I appreciate each and every one of you guys, and for those of you that have been asking, yes, I'm healing. No, I still haven't started therapy. I go to the doctor this Thursday and we'll see what he says then. You know, it's just a long process, but I'll get there sooner or later. I'd rather get there and be fully healed and not have to do this again than to get there too soon and start all over. But anyways, like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. I appreciate you guys, and I'm going to be dropping another video that I did on that Brynite headlamp that I unboxed, but I'll probably drop that the next day or so. Anyways, thanks guys.